Everybody, and welcome in here to another exciting edition of The Rundown. Brandon Worth, Blake Thomas joining you as always. We have two very special guests straight out of their practice ahead of this coming exciting Friday night. We got Gabe Njenga, one of the stars players for Big Rapids. Gabe, welcome to the show.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Great to have you on. And then we got on the other side of the rivalry, we got head coach Brennan Walsh of Reed City Boys basketball. Coach, thanks for joining us as well.
Yeah, appreciate being here.
Can't wait to get you guys' perspectives on what's going to happen Friday night. I know right now the road line, the Misiola line, once you cross it on my drive to work, it gets tense either way. But we'll talk about that as well as hoops coming up for you guys. We'll get into the scores around the league for CSAA boys and girls, as well as standing updates. And we'll finish out with a little bit of postseason talk coming up. It is pretty much getting as quick as it gets here, Blake, to the turn. We're going to be talking about district basketball in only a few weeks, and it's crazy because we just started this thing only a couple months ago.
Yeah, the district draw is in 11 days on February 16th. I just confirmed that on the MHSAA website. So any team that wants to improve their MPR, you have effectively 11 days to do so. So yeah, it's coming right up. The best time of year, in my opinion. Can't wait to see how it shakes out.
Can't wait to see. And big thanks to Dazos Digital. You can target your target audience with the experts of Dazos Digital, whether it's graphic display, audio streaming, video streaming. They can help you get your business and your company in front of the right audience for you. Visit DazosDigital.com for more information. We'll start with the Tuesday slate here. And obviously, Gabe, you guys had a really tough bout with a really good Whitehall team duking it out. It was a very intense low-scoring first quarter. Whitehall made a little bit of a run, kind of extended it out and ran away with it. But just from your perspective, how was that game from what you guys were looking at the game plan and just how it involved on the court in front of you?
The first quarter, like you said, it was close. I thought we did really well defensively in the first quarter, and nothing was falling offensively. And then it was unfortunate, of course. Ty went down, and our defense kind of went downhill as well, and everything just kind of crumbled for sure. But yeah, they're a great team though. They were physical.
Absolutely. Whitehall's been a perennial powerhouse for the last 5 years for sure. And for you guys, especially here, it's going to be a big week. Obviously, we'll get into the game Friday night here. But for you guys, I mean, you're conference title chasing right now. You're still trying to chase Grant, right, to get to that last regular season game. Just talk about how important it is to finish strong despite the loss on Tuesday with these games coming up, going to Newaygo, obviously Reed City Friday night at home, but then also finishing the non-conference games also in that slate with Kent City and Lakeview to get yourselves to that Friday rematch I know you guys want so badly.
Yeah, for sure. We're excited for that one.
Absolutely. And Coach Walsh, over to you. Obviously, you guys don't have a game here early on this week, this Tuesday. You guys get some well-needed rest. You guys were really on a very hot stretch going to Newaygo and Kent City and beating those very good teams. Had a little bit of a slip-up, it looked like, against Chip Hills. What's your perspective as far as how the last 2 weeks have been for your team?
Well, it definitely felt good to be in competitive games. I mean, it was a tough stretch. We played a lot of really good competition. When you look at our district as far as our opponents' winning percentage, I mean, only Ludington's ahead of us in that. And so we played some really tough teams. And, you look up the score and we're down by 30. And it's not easy for the boys. It's not nearly as much fun to coach. And so the last few weeks been good competitive games. We're learning from them. Getting better, feeling a little more confident, and just enjoying the season that much more than that middle stretch. And it's a better atmosphere, and it's fun. I'm glad the boys stuck with it and got through that stretch, and now they kind of reap some rewards from it and playing some good basketball.
Absolutely. And talking with for Coach Belfuse early on this season, I know he was glad to just, we can get on the road and play some games. And now you guys will be rewarded with a couple home games here in the next 5 after the Big Rapids game on Friday. Just talk about what that really means to you, being able to play Tri-County again, being able to play Grant again this year to finish out your guys in the regular season.
Well, I mean, the nice thing, I'm glad that we're back to it with our conference, playing teams twice. You kind of, you see improvements, or you kind of game plan a little more for them and see from your past matchups with them. So I like the fact that we're playing home and away again. And I enjoy those road Friday night games. I mean, it was a tough loss for us at Chip, but man, it was there's snow coming, and they had the band going, and they had a big student section, and so for me, that's what high school basketball it should be on a Friday night, and so enjoyed that, and yeah, same thing going into Waco and Kent City, and I'm sure the atmosphere is going to be great on Friday. Truly looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And there were some great games as well earlier this week. Hart taking down Newaygo, obviously for both Reed City and Big Rapids, a game to look out for with the district assignments. As well, Ithaca taking down Chip earlier this week. Ithaca has played very, very well this year. Coach Walsh, you guys saw them earlier this year. As well, Grant just throttling Montague. Definitely you could tell tale of two teams there. Alma taking down Central Montcalm, a little bit of a surprise for how Alma stepped up at home in that game. And Pine River seems to be the real deal this year. They're playing some good ball. They take down Moe Stanwood as well. That's a team with a lot of height, a lot of size, and they're showing it here so far. But looking at the games Friday night, obviously we'll get from both of your guys' perspective. Gabe, we'll start with you. As a fellow man that played in this rivalry once, I know you have been unfortunate playing it many times. What does it mean to you to be able to be a part of this rivalry? Obviously you guys got the better edge in that first matchup, but what are you looking forward to most about Friday night?
I'm just looking forward to it's always fun playing Reed City for sure. The energy, it can go either way always. We saw that last year. So yeah, it'll definitely be a fun one for sure.
Absolutely. And Coach Walsh, for you, getting to coach on one side now, coaching on the other side of it, I'm sure it's a very interesting perspective for you. Just what does it mean to see these two towns that you now had your footprint in coming together and watching some great basketball, and hopefully we'll see a sellout on Friday night?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good crowd. I mean, for me, I enjoy it. Obviously, there's a lot of familiar faces. I came and I watched the game last night against Whitehall, and got to see sit with a couple guys I graduated high school with. Got to see guys that I coached their kids, and and so I enjoy it. Last year we didn't get to play there, so it's been a little while since I've coached in that gym. And the thing I love about the rivalry is I feel like you don't have to question whether you're going to get effort that night, right? On both sides, the kids are just going to battle. They're going to go after it. They're going to play as hard as they possibly can, and I appreciate that part of the rivalry.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody exactly knows what date those two games are, which it also has been criminal the last year that we did not have this matchup twice. So it's good to see the home and away again between these two teams, let alone the gold teams altogether. Gold/red division, as we've established on the show. Whichever one it is, we don't know at this point. But Blake, we'll talk about the standings here real quick. Obviously, Grant at the top, Big Rapids right now in the perfect spot. Went out, and we're going to have a really, really fun matchup to end the regular season at Big Rapids. Grant will be coming. Newaygo and Chip right now, both 3-4. Those are both teams that have scrapped. They've been up. They've been down so far this year. Tri-County and Reed City have played very competitively, just haven't seen the results. But right now, I think especially when you look, Chip Hills and Newaygo, that's going to be a very interesting matchup here to end the year, especially those two teams. Feels like they could beat some of those top teams down the stretch, but also fall down into the lower teams. It might be interesting to see those two teams duke it out for that 3-4 spot.
Yeah, I think this is a story of you got one team that's trending up in Chip Hills. Again, decent size. They defend really well. And then you've got Newaygo who's lost, 4 out of their last 5. We talked about how, they go on the road to Lakeview. Not Lakeview. They lose to Reed City at home. They go to Hart and lose by 23. It's just one of those things where it feels like they're trending down. I watched a little bit of that Hart Newaygo game as well to get some eyes on Hart, but also see Newaygo and see how they're shaking out. And it looked like, it was a struggle for them. And then you look at the way that Chip Hills has been playing. They played Big Rapids tough at Big Rapids, held them to 49 points, which is no easy feat. But just have a hard time scoring the basketball as well. So I think that is definitely a tale of two teams trending in completely different directions.
Absolutely. And flipping over to the white division, formerly the silver, at the top, coin flip, 3-sided coin if it exists, right?
Yeah.
Kent City 4-1 right now, but hold your horses. Central Montcalm and Morley are right there, half game back, 4-1, 4-2 respectively. White Cloud and Lakeview bringing it up the rear. But man, I mean, you're talking Moly Stanwood's a team that was coming in hot. They just lost to Pine River. How does that team respond moving forward? Right? Where'd Central Montcalm? We saw, oh, now they're starting to put the wins together. Then the momentum slows down a little bit. Kent City obviously thought we might see them run away with it, but obviously some teams have caused some havoc there, including Coach Walsh and the Coyotes. How great upset that was down at their place. So, I mean, at this point, is there a three-sided coin? If so, let's find it and flip it and see who wins it.
Yeah, so Kent City's 2-3 in their last five. Central Montcalm is the hottest team right now at 4-1 in their last five. But they have lost to Kent City earlier in the year, 79-73 in overtime at Kent City. And Morley stand with 3-2 in their last five. We talked about it a little bit before the show. I think that if Central can beat Kent City tonight, they have a really, really good shot at locking up a share of the CSAA White, and that would be an awesome turnaround for Shea Ingles. I know that the first couple of years of his tenure, he's working on a rebuild, and that would be awesome for them to be able to claim the CSAA White, at least a share of the title. But if Kent City wins tonight, then they have a chance to win it outright by beating Morley at Morley, another big game on February 21st.
Absolutely. And before we flip over to the girls' side, Coach, I'm going to go over to you. Your outlook as far as the CSAA altogether, looking at those teams. You've played a lot of those teams, obviously, almost already, all of them twice in the gold side. You've played a couple of those teams, Kent City as well, on the other side in the white division. What's your outlook as far as how the conference is shaken out? It feels like really this year it has been towards the middle of the pack. It hasn't been necessarily, obviously Big Rapids Grant kind of out in front, but other than that, everybody is beating everybody this year. It really feels like power rankings don't decide these matchups. Whoever wins on that night.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree. And I thought kind of going into the season that Grant and BR were going to be at the top. There, I saw Grant this summer, and you just see that the skill level that they have was up there, and they're deep, and they're a tough team. And so you kind of had a feeling coming into it that they were going to be ready to go. I'm surprised they're rolling quite the way they are. I mean, only 15-2 or 14-2, whatever they are, and playing really good basketball. And I mean, it helps to have a coach that's been around and coach college ball and has a lot of experience, and he's really seems like he's pushing the right buttons. And obviously with Gabe, I mean, there's nobody in the area that has somebody to match up with him. And so, they and losing Ty is going to, puts a little dent in things. But I mean, there's just nobody to match up with him and with Gabe. And so you just had a good feeling of those two. I've been pretty surprised with Chip. I really think that they play some really good basketball, and they're playing tough. And so you got to kind of give some credit to their coaching staff there, and also Morley, like Coach Cummings there, she has done a great job. I like the way they're playing. They play fast. They get out and they run. Their kids are playing athletic, and I'm really, after seeing what they had as a squad last year, to see where they're at right now, I'm really surprised and happy for them.
Absolutely, some fun matchups for sure. We'll flip over to the girls' side very quickly, for sure. If you want to advertise on the rundown, 796-7000, get a hold of the Big Rapids Media Network, and we'd be glad to have you on the show. Some scores to recap here, Blake. Overall, for the girls' side, we obviously saw a couple matchups that were some crucial ones earlier on this week when it comes to some of those games. Obviously, Grant holding off Montague. Montague, a very good team. They're going to be playing later this week in that Friday game, I believe, against it's either Kent City or it also could be Fremont, one of the two. So that's going to be a fun game to see how they do. Montague's been a team that's been playing a lot of the CSAA teams this year. Morley Stanwood falling to Onekama. Onekama, a very, very good basketball team on the ladies' side. Lakeview taking down Vesterberg as well. Kent City edging out Reed City. That was a fun matchup. Heard a lot about that game. A great game overall. And as well, St. Louis holding off Chip Hills, the other one in non-conference play there so far. So we look at the standings right now in the red division. It's very much so. Big Rapids, Newaygo, it seems like the rest of the way at the top there for the girls. Right now, Big Rapids still has to make the trek next week to Newaygo, so if the Lions want to change anything, that's going to be the game to do so. But for sure, right now, Big Rapids, they're in the driver's seat. They keep playing this way. Newaygo's going to be the one that has to make a move, and it's going to have to be at their place in order to try to get a share.
Yeah, the Big Rapids girls team, well coached. They've got a really, really good group of young girls. Their JV team has won a bunch of games, and they're all freshmen. They start one senior, and the rest are sophomores and freshmen. You've got an Array Fricky who is scoring points in bunches. She's had 25 several times. You've got a sophomore point guard in Leia Fricky, who is also running the show, pushes the tempo, really athletic, really tough to guard. And you've got Hadley Fox, who's kind of like a quiet assassin, just kind of and it does a little bit of everything for you. Knocks down jump shots, gets to the rack, has one of the better Euro steps you're going to see in high school basketball right now in this area. They're playing very well leading into, they've got a tough district. You got to deal with Fremont at Fremont. You got to deal with Ludington, who's gone to the Final Four in the last few years. So you got to get there, but I like the way the girls are playing. They're only to get better. Really, really, really high ceiling and also a really high floor. Their worst game, they're still going to bother some teams.
Absolutely. You have Grant, obviously Reed City, those teams looking to wreak havoc down the stretch, which we talked about Grant last week, a team that had a lot of wins coming in. Reed City is playing very good basketball too, so we hope to see maybe a little bit of March Madness just a couple weeks early here in February. Looking at the White Division, Kent City right now with that second loss to Molly Stanwood. It's their journey. They're in the driver's seat. They get unblemished. They're going to be taking home a solo trophy. Central Montcalm's looking to be wreaking havoc. That's going to be a fun game this week. And then White Cloud and Lakeview will be duking it once again. It's very interesting to see the similarity of the tables when it comes to some of these teams for both the boys and the girls divisions. I saw that a little bit this year. Very interesting pattern. But for the White division, I mean, Kent City looks to be that team we kind of projected. It was them and Morley. And Kent City's taking care of business. You got to give them a lot of credit. They played good ball all year.
Yeah, Kent City's been the premier program in that group for a while now. Went to a state title game a few years ago, and I believe they lost, but still getting there. Unbelievable feat, really, really hard to do. And they've been a good group that shoots a lot of triples, makes a lot of triples, scores points by the load here. They're fantastic doing that. So Kent City takes care of business. It's not something that's out of the ordinary. It's something that we expect for them to be good almost every single year on the girls' side.
Absolutely. With that, let's take a look at the Friday games. Obviously, Chip Hills and Grant going to be duking it out right now. You look on paper, might not finish close, but hey, we never know with a lot of these games. Obviously, Big Rapids Reed City is the one that everybody's watching for on the boys and girls side. Both of those teams have been playing good basketball right now. Kent City and Montague, that confirming my suspicion from earlier. That's going to be a whale of a matchup. Montague's given CSAA teams fits. Now they're going to try to do that to the Eagles. Calvary Baptist against Morley Stanwood might be an interesting matchup there. We'll see how Coach Raven and the Mohawks respond. White Cloud and Lakeview, we thought might be a little bit more lopsided. Lakeview had some different thoughts earlier this year on based how that went. So we'll see how that one goes round two, I believe, at White Cloud. And then Tri-County and Newaygo look to duke it out as well. But we'll see about those games on boys and the girls side. I believe there is one other additional game as well in the process that might be a little bit different for the boys, and that's the Kent City Central Montcalm game happening tonight. We'll report on that score on our broadcast on Friday. But talking a little bit, finishing up here, especially here with Coach Walsh and Gabe Njenga. Districts, obviously, District 35, all four of us in consensus. Nobody can argue this fact because all four of us can say it and it's confirmed. It's there in stone. D35 has got to be the toughest in Division 2. So many good basketball teams with Ludington, obviously now adding Fremont to the mix. A very, very good program, boys and girls. And so right now it feels like a lot of the tension for the rest of the regular season rolls into what will be a tough district. For both of your guys' perspective, Gabe, we'll start with you. I mean, just looking ahead to that district, some of those teams that you're going to play, what's exciting you the most about seeing where you guys will go out seeding-wise and some of the matchups you might see there in that week in Newaygo?
I mean, last year we were trying to, figure out, like, look to the future, try to work on that Friday game, and we didn't take it one game at a time, and it didn't work out. So we're definitely just gonna take it one game at a time. Go into districts the highest seat possible that we don't got to play on Monday, and go from there for sure.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that obviously that Monday loss to Manistee was a shocker, right? The Mariners played their best basketball all year that night, caught you guys a little bit. When it comes to the improvements that you guys want to make going into that week, what are those specific things that you believe this team might be able to capitalize on that last year's team just could not do it in postseason?
I feel like we were kind of all over the place. We weren't able to, we thought we had a lot of confidence for sure. We just didn't prepare enough. So this year for sure we're gonna be able to keep our head, keep our cool, and be prepared for the next game. So
Absolutely. And Coach Walsh, for you, obviously last year was an amazing run going to play the Orioles there in that Friday night game. That was a fantastic basketball game. Definitely could have went either way if they would have played again. When it comes to, having Landon there, seeing the leadership kind of carry over with some of the coaches that were there before. Obviously, you have a younger group this year and some of those guys not playing the same minutes in there. What's been your message, especially for the last part of this regular season for your team going into that district round?
Well, last year definitely a lot different for us. I mean, I was constantly doing the math, the NPR math, adding. I had tables written out, and I mean all that sort, that sort of stuff, and just trying to figure it out. And we ended up being the number one seed, and so I mean I was like obsessed with it. And this year I'm not paying quite as much attention, and the chips will fall where they fall, and now they're seeding the whole thing, and so instead of focusing so much on where we're going to be, is trying to focus on just being prepared for Monday night and being ready to go, and trying to extend the season as long as we can, and trying to, I mean, there'd be nothing more fun for us right now than to get through Monday, to give ourselves a chance on Wednesday who you never know what's going to happen, playing on Friday night for a district is fun, and we would love to put ourselves in that position, and it's been a struggle because we're young, but we look at all the guys that we're going to have come back next year, and the experience that we're building this year, and the small improvements, the day-to-day, the week-to-week improvements, and we're seeing a lot of good things, and I'm excited about what we got coming up and for the next year, but trying to focus on tonight and where we're at, and focus on Big Rapids on Friday, and just not get too far ahead of ourselves right now.
Absolutely, one game at a time. And definitely a team that we've seen that unfortunately fell to that trap last year. The Whitehall Vikings going unblemished in the regular season does not mean anything when it comes to March basketball. But we can't wait for this Friday night. We can't wait for the finish out of the boys and girls CSAA seasons. Be sure, Friday night, folks, if you don't have anything going on, get yourself over to Big Rapids High School, to Cardinal Arena, girls and boys basketball rivalry showdown. That's going to be bright, or it's going to be absolutely great. Blake and I will have the call for the boys game. You can get that on WBRN at 6:30. Pregame will start all the way through tip-off into our postgame show. It's going to be a great matchup. And Coach Walsh, Gabe, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck Friday night. Can't wait to see some good basketball from both teams.
Appreciate it.
Yep, awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys. Rest up, and we'll see you on Friday for all those. Be sure to subscribe, BigRapidsDailyNews.com, and we'll see you next time.